If you are thinking about buying one of these, a Bushnell Launch Pro, watch this video because, well, things have changed again for the 7th time. And I still love this device. I still recommend it for a lot of people, but how you buy it, when you buy it, and what you buy may have just changed. So let's talk about these Bushnell updates and why they're so confusing. Hey, before we jump into this whole video, I just want to give you the quick version in case you just want the highlights. Bushnell Launch Pro used to be $2,500. They just bumped the price up to $3,000. The Foresight GC3, $7,000, but recently it's been on sale for $6,000, and with discounts, you can get it down to $5,400. So all of a sudden, these two devices, which are the exact same products, it's the exact same hardware, are now a little bit closer when it comes to price. So in the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about all the details behind it. I'm going to talk about whether or not I still recommend the Bushnell Launch Pro, and I'm also going to talk about how you can get the GC3 for as low as $4,500 and the Launch Pro for as low as $2,700. So if you are in the market for one of these, make sure you keep watching in order to get the best price on either of these options. Just want to make sure you knew the essentials up front in case you didn't care about all the details, but if you do care about all the details, let's get into those right now. Let me give you the very brief backstory. Bushnell Launch Pro came out about 5 years ago. This device is the exact same device as a Foresight GC3. Exact same price, only difference is the way they are priced. Launch Pro, subscription model. GC3, one time you get everything, you don't have to pay a subscription. Ever since the launch of this, Bushnell has had different subscription tiers and different pricing that seems like it was changing every 6 months. A year and a half ago, they decided to discontinue the Launch Pro entirely. 6 months ago, they brought the Launch Pro back to life, which brings us to today. This is the same hardware that it was 5 years ago, but it is still among my favorite optical launch monitors out there. But, and this is the point of this video, they have changed the pricing both on this and kind of on the Foresight GC3 as well, which makes deciding which one to buy a little bit more complicated. So that's what we're going to talk about in the rest of the video. So for the last 6 months, the Launch Pro has been a very easy recommendation. The retail price of it was $2,500. You could use the coupon code BREAKING10. You could get it for $2,250. At that price, you're getting just the device itself, you're not getting access to ClubPath data, and you're getting no simulator options. If you want those things, you've got to get a subscription. Bushnell, and what I thought was a really positive move, rolled out the Silver subscription for $199. That gives you limited simulator access, but more importantly, gives you access to all the ClubPath data that this can provide. But considering the GC3 is essentially $7,000 retail, to be able to get this for $2,250, and then for a $200 a year subscription to be able to unlock ClubPath data and get a little bit of simulator options, that to me actually feels like a pretty good value. So for the last 6 to 9 months or so, since they relaunched the Launch Pro and they rolled out a new subscription system, I have been a huge fan. I have been really promoting this as one of my favorite golf launch monitors because it is one of my favorite golf launch monitors. But over the last week, without really telling anyone about it, to my knowledge, they changed the pricing on this. So this now, instead of $2,500 retail, is now $3,000 retail. So they bumped the price on this by $500. That's not an insignificant amount, and frankly, I think it's probably still worth this. The problem here is that over the last 5 years, they have changed the pricing so many times. We finally had hit a sweet spot. The value proposition of the Bushnell Launch Pro was great. The Silver subscription was and is a good value. The gold one for $500 a year, that's kind of a separate story. But at that price point, at that subscription, I really feel like the Launch Pro has been one of the best options out there. Now, the retail price is $3,000. You can still use our code BREAKING10, which will knock it down to $2,700. So it's still good for what it is, but it's not the no-brainer value proposition that it was just a couple weeks ago. I think this is especially notable considering many of the competing products to this have actually dropped in price. The SkyTrack Plus, which for a long time was one of the main competitors to this, you can now get for like $1,400. Even their newest model, the SkyTrack ST Max, which started out at $3,000, you can now pick up for $2,000. That's not to mention the Square Omni, where for $1,600 you are getting a device that is just as accurate as this with no subscription fees. So we're seeing technology get better and we're seeing it get more affordable. So the fact that Bushnell has taken this product, which is now 5-year-old hardware, still very good, still very current, but older, the fact they have now raised the price so significantly is honestly a little bit of a bummer, because it's now a little bit harder to recommend this when you were looking at the value that all of those other products provide. But I think I know why Bushnell is doing it, and it also opens up another avenue if this is the device that you have been considering. So years back, right before this launched, Bushnell's parent company bought Foresight Sports. They basically took the GC3, they turned it into the Launch Pro, and changed the pricing structure. So the GC3 at $7,000 is really tough to recommend when you can get this. And so what I think happened is the Launch Pro was such a good value, Foresight's like, wait, you're cannibalizing the GC3 sales. This is a premium professional level launch monitor, and at that price, it's not really reflecting that. So I think what they did was say, hey, we're gonna raise the price on the Launch Pro, and then we're also gonna do some sales on the GC3 to get those a little bit more in line and boost sales of the Foresight product. So because of this, all of a sudden the GC3, which I've hesitated to recommend because even if you get the gold subscription with the Launch Pro of their recent pricing, it would take 9 years of paying the subscription in order to break even when compared to just buying the GC3. So the Launch Pro for most people is going to be a much better value. Well, for the last month, the GC3 has been on sale. If you go to playbetter.com, you can get the $7,000 GC3 for $6,000. To take that a step further, you can use the coupon code BE10 at Playbetter, which is going to knock an additional 10% off. So the GC3 that was $7,000, you can now get for right around $5,400. $2,700 after discounts, $5,400 after discounts. That is a much smaller real-world price gap than where it's been previously. But it gets even more interesting. So right now, Playbetter has some certified refurbished GC3 units for $5,000. These still have a warranty, they're essentially brand new, but you get it at a big discount. You can use that same coupon code on this refurbished unit. So after all the discounts, you can get a refurbished GC3 for $4,500. $2,700 versus $4,500, you now only have an $1,800 gap. And at that price point, that's where for me, I think it makes more sense to go buy a GC3. For no extra subscription, for no extra price at any time, you're getting FSX Play, you're getting FSX 2020, you're getting FSX Pro, the iPad app, and you're getting the new Foresight mobile app, which is excellent. To go along with this, if you're someone who wants to play simulated golf using GS Pro, with the Launch Pro, you need the gold subscription. $500 a year in order to use third-party software. From there, you will also have to pay an extra $250 a year for the GS Pro license. So an extra $750 a year just to play GS Pro. With the GC3, you don't need that gold subscription. You can use third-party apps for no extra subscription. So if you want to use GS Pro, you're just paying the $250 GS Pro fee every year, and you don't have to pay anything else. So all of a sudden, this value proposition, where it made so much more sense to go with the Launch Pro, now there are a few other options that might make more sense to go with the GC3. And my guess is this is exactly what they are hoping people will do. The problem for me now is, as a whole, on the lower end of that kind of prosumer market, some other products have gotten so good and are so much more affordable that I think people are going to start looking elsewhere. Whereas before, someone might have said, okay, I'm willing to spend like $650 more on the Bushnell over an Omni and that subscription fee to get a more reliable and a better software experience. But when it's now $1,000 more plus the subscription fee, I think there's a lot of people that are going to say, hey, like, yeah, this sounds great, but the Omni is a much better value, even if it's a little more rough around the edges. So I'm disappointed to see this because it kind of removes the value play from the Bushnell lineup. For those of you in the know, you might be saying, hey, but what about the LPi, the indoor Launch Pro? Well, that is still out there, but they just raised the price on that as well. So before, I believe that was $1,500, now it is $2,000. And still just as accurate as the Launch Pro, but it doesn't have a built-in battery, and it doesn't have a built-in screen. So it's really only good for indoor use, plus you're still gonna have that subscription. So rambly video, but all of this to say is I'm bummed to see that the Launch Pro has gotten more expensive. I'm also excited that at least for the moment, the GC3 has gotten cheaper, but in the end, I really think this is probably going to be a net negative for Bushnell. They are still trying to position this in the GC3 as a professional product, which it is. Very clearly, I want to say it is a professional product. It is very good. It is very accurate. But because you had it competing on the value market and you've changed the price so many times and you've rebranded it so many times, and all of the competitors are making their products better and less expensive, I think all of those things are going to kind of end up working together to potentially point people towards some other options. I still love this. I still recommend this. This and the Mevo Gen 2 are the two products I personally use the most, but it's a little bit harder to give it a blanket recommendation for most people at that higher price point with so many other good options. If it fits the bill for what you're looking for, unequivocally, yes, I still think it's worth the money. I'm just disappointed to see it get more expensive. So there's what seems like my almost quarterly Bushnell pricing update. Things have changed again. again. Let me know in the comments what you think. I've heard from a lot of readers that already thought the Bushnell might have been a little bit too expensive, so I'm curious to see what the market thinks. My thought is still a great product. I just wish that they would be consistent with the pricing for a longer period of time and give people a proper value option, because this at its old price point was extremely competitive and it was one of my biggest recommendations. This at the new price point I still love, but it's a little bit harder to recommend. So with that, my name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here, Breaking 80, where we talk about cool golf products and cool golf courses. If you got some value out of this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, if you are not on our newsletter, make sure to subscribe. I send 1 to 2 emails a week with the best golf deals on the internet. I track them so that you don't have to. So the link to that is below. And with that, I hope you have an excellent day, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.